Welcome to the pod. Week 3, Season 4, Darren. How are we feeling?
Feel good. I mean, we'll get into the games later, but as far as my fantasy team and the whole experience of what's going on in the LOG, we definitely feel good. But even more so than that, I think, you gotta be feeling great if you're a Cardinal fan. You gotta feel great.
You can feel good about the Cardinals, although maybe not the performance we were looking for coming off that Titans victory. A little bit closer, but you can expect that. A win is a win. Unlike in fantasy, I can say that there's very few things that are worse than doing this pod coming off a loss. One of them is coming off a comeback loss.
Oh, yeah. And that's almost what we had there with the Cardinal game. If it wouldn't been a wide right at the end of the game, which, I was expecting, like you just said, I was expecting more coming back to our home stadium, fans in the crowd again. I really thought that there was going to be a big Cardinal win there. One of the things I was really happy to see was even though he's kind of my boy, I was happy to see Patrick Peterson get torched. Torched, man. I think he gave up 128 yards and 2 touchdowns. And it's just, I just, when you're on your way out of town and you talk shit on your podcast, which I guess we do too, but, it was good to see that, he's talked shit about Arizona since he left, and it was just good to see him have to eat that.
It was. And it was good to get a win, 2-0. I think this division is going to be tough. Every out-of-division win is going to count, so we're pretty happy about that. That gets us to the slate of games in the League of Gentlemen, which we are calling the Week of the Comeback. It didn't look like there was going to be a ton of close games, even going into Monday night, but that sure changed with the Green Bay Packers.
And I guess let's start there with what we're going to call the game of the week, which was the Sin traveling to Avalon, and it definitely looked like that game was in hand. I guess you can always say, well, with one player on the board, especially being a running back, that there is a chance. There is a chance, and especially maybe in that offense, especially playing against the Detroit Lions. But I don't know. You would have won a lot of money had you put money on that comeback, I think.
I think so too. Heading into the game, you never feel safe. It just felt like every opportunity that Aaron Jones got, and even some that he didn't get that he turned into opportunities, he should have come out that last fucking play.
Yeah.
The last drive, he should have. We're already up. It didn't matter. No, let's get him 4 touchdowns and farts.
Yeah, and it honestly was like there wasn't, they went to Devontae Adams for sure. There was that little, third and whatever, and a little drop in the basket to get the first down. But other than that, it really was like an Aaron Jones show for some reason, and I don't know. It can't feel awesome, but at the same time, being 1-1 and having to have that kind of comeback to come against your team, you look into next week and you say, maybe you had an early double dip with Diggs and Allen that had to feel real good.
I don't love the usage of Jonathan Taylor. There's some question marks heading into next week for sure. I'm in a familiar place. That 7 spot is where the Avengers spent most of last year, so we know we can come back and get the playoffs. But the Sin, Tom Brady, Aaron Jones, getting almost 2/3 of their points. I guess congratulations on the win, you son of a bitch.
The Sin now moved to 2-0. Which is crazy because we've had that streak of missed playoff opportunities. And
could this be the year?
We did
predict them to get in the playoffs,
yes,
so I guess this is a step in that. Game number 2, another comeback. Merci sitting pretty comfortably up, 39, 40 points up going into Monday night. Not enough when you're trying to face Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams.
Yeah, not enough. And, if we're going to say some things about Merci, the kid just keeps putting up points and just finds himself in situations where he runs into buzzsaws. I think this week he actually played the high points leader and probably would have beaten every other team in the league. It's possible. I should have done my research.
In fact, he does.
Yeah, he would have beat any other team in the league other than the Zorros. So congratulations to the Zorros. But looking at Mercy's team, man, his wide receivers, which I really didn't expect, were phenomenal. Cooper Kupp puts up 40. McLaurin puts up 30. Russell Wilson, of course, cooks with 30. So a great effort by his team. It's just, I guess Tom Farrell wondered if it was a curse of some kind. I guess we'll have to find that out.
Maybe it matters if you show up for the draft or not. It's hard to say. None of the running backs in this matchup put up anything. Really low scores. Only one running back gets to double digits, except for Derrick Henry with the 50 burger.
Yes, and you know it's coming either from Kamara or Derrick Henry. You're not going to hide from those guys all year. They're going to produce. But I'm wondering, did Seattle not watch film? Did they not watch the Arizona Cardinals shut down Derrick Henry and say, hey, if you're going to beat us, you're going to beat us with Ryan Tannehill through the air. We're going to put pressure on the quarterback, but we're going to stop the run. And they didn't seem to key in the second half on Derrick Henry. They lost focus or whatever, but God, did he eat in the second half.
He did. And it was weird last week with the Zorros on the bottom of the board in an alphabetical position.
Yeah.
It still feels weird that he's not on the top of the board, which he's been for the last couple of years on this pod.
Hey, he's worked his way up halfway there.
All the way there. So congratulations to the Zorros on the win. Game number 3, the Fury take care of Young and Confused in another game where Young thought he might have had a chance.
I think he did have a chance. As a matter of fact, last week in the predictions, this is one I got wrong because I went on a limb and took Young and Confused, even though Benner had a significant point total advantage as far as what they were predicting. But I just thought maybe this would be the week that Mahomes and Kelsey wouldn't have a connection, or maybe the Bengals wouldn't. But and I'm not hating. I'm just saying maybe that week would play out, but it didn't. And Mahomes went off, and Kelsey went off, and Young and Confused find themselves 0-2.
Another close to 140-point week out of Young and Confused doesn't result in a victory. It's tough to win, even with balanced production, if your number one scorer is your defense.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a recipe going forward to win, but at 0-2, he's got to feel pretty good about his chances. He's got a decent point total. Mm-hmm. I think that Young team's going to score a little bit, but on the schneid.
Yeah, well, and the point production he's put up, which if we're going to look, right, Young and Confused is at 285. It's kind of middle of the pack, middle to upper of the pack, and maybe he draws a laydown team this week. So we'll see, but it's going to be interesting to see that battle. We'll get into that a little later.
Game number 4, the Poway Titans take care of Who's Your Daddy?
Well, the Titans are also a team that is putting up a lot of points. It helps with Lamar Jackson, of course, on your team. Austin Eckler finally got off for him, which, both of these are keepers for Billy, so these are cornerstones of his franchise. He's expecting that, and he got production out of them. Daddy, I think with the Kyle Pitts pick, with the Julio Jones pick, I think there was some excitement there for his team. And those guys just really haven't quite produced at that level yet for him. That doesn't mean they won't. Nick Chubb is a running back that I would, if he's on my team, I'm expecting more than, 15 to 16 points. But again, that Browns offense just hasn't seemed to really get going yet. So,
if you want to take a little bit of solace if your daddy, Kyle Pitts, does win the tight end matchup over one of the top tight ends in Darren Waller. So there are signs to look up, but a lot of no 20-point scores except for Julio Jones. A lot of mid to low points. 118 isn't going to win a lot of weeks, and that's why you're sitting in the basement.
Yep. And the final game of the week, as far as week 2 this current season, was the Scoregasms visiting the Pimps. And like I said, we were excited to have our fans back in the crowd. It was loud as hell there. Early double dip with the future MVP this year, Kyler Murray. DeAndre Hopkins goes, like I said, I found this stat, and I'm hoping it's true, but 145 consecutive targets and no drops. That's incredible. So love having that connection on our team. That's kind of the core, Scoregasms had a great, but really at the end of the day, this matchup was all about Tyler Lockett for our team. He wanted to get out of the field. We actually had to sit Mike Evans, and that wasn't a comfortable conversation, and we did, and we said, hey, let Tyler play because of how he came to the ballpark or the field. He was ready to go. This was a revenge game for him. He was tried to be traded in the offseason. He was passed over in the 4th round by his old organization.
You could tell in the postgame press conference that Lockett really held a grudge about specifically the trade offers and then being looked over by the Scoregasm. So this is a really stick in Gary's butt kind of game, which a lot of games are. I found the interesting stat on the Scoregasm side. Those 3 Cowboys that he's running out there only netted 34 points, I think, 35 points total. So that, it's one of those boom or bust. Is it good to have all your eggs in one basket, or is it not? This week it doesn't turn out to be.
It has turned out. I think if we look over this week, it turned out well. Speaking of that, it turned out well for the Pimps with Kyler Murray, the double dip. It turned out decently well for the Avengers with Allen and Diggs that didn't get the win, but still it was there. Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers, that was there. Kelsey and Mahomes, that was there.
I think we're talking about a different conversation with those double dips with the quarterback, wide receiver, quarterback, tight end pairs than not having the quarterback and running out two receivers and a probably the second best running back on a team.
And I would say that is exactly what I was going to say at this point. I don't know how there's not trade offers in everyone's inbox for the elephant, because it looks like Tony Pollard might be, I don't know if he's going to take over duties, but he is definitely going to get a significant share of the workload.
It is looked like a committee in Dallas.
Which is probably why Gary makes a trade and goes out and gets the backup running back for the Rams. You know what I mean? That's probably why he did that.
It is savvy move there. That brings us to next week. We're going to do some predictions as we are wont to do. We are so far undefeated. We've gotten every pick right this year, which is amazing, frankly. So we'll see if we can't keep that streak going. We're going to start in your neck of the woods. The Zorros at 1-1. Come and get the Pimps 2-0. Who you like, D?
Well, this is an easy one for me. We're happy to be home again. We're not trying to celebrate too much on being 2-0. We are focused on a lineup that brings in Derrick Henry, Alvin Kamara, Devontae Adams, Aaron Rodgers, George Kittle. I'd be a fool to think that we weren't going to be in a battle. And the Zorros are probably hungry at this point. Not that we're not, but I'm going to take the Zorros.
All right. Well, that's one way to look at it. I look at it the other way. I think this Pimps team is pretty loaded. That Kyler Murray for MVP race is going on there. There are a few question marks at running back. Who doesn't have questions at running back? But, Lockett, Hopkins, Thielen, all looking fantastic. I think this is a Pimps win over the Zorros.
Well, we'll hope you're right. The next matchup we're going to talk about is going to be the Poway Titans. They're traveling to the Sin. We just said the Cardinals Sin are 2-0. The Poway Titans are 1-1. This should be a great matchup. Who do you got?
It is, and I don't want to let last week, dissuade me from picking against the Sin. I'm going to let the statistics do that, and I'm taking the Poway Titans, who look to have a better squad.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I think overall, even being 2-0, that Corey's squad has performed well, but also caught some breaks there. So and Poway has just been putting up points and points and points and points with Lamar Jackson. And I'm going to also here take the road team. I'm going to take the Titans.
The double dip. Game number 3. Binters Fury traveling to Chicago to the Windy City Gayers.
Yes. This should be fun to watch because, you're talking about these guys who have a lot of banter together, who, work together, who we just watched Gary's Bears beat the Bengals last week. So there's no love lost here between these two teams. So I see this as what I'm hoping this is game of the week. I really am hoping this comes down to game of the week just because I can sit back and watch this. So, but I'm also thinking I'll go ahead and pick first here. Cincinnati, who a lot of eggs in the basket there we talked about, is playing Pittsburgh Steelers, whose defense is beat up, but it's in Pittsburgh. Kansas City is at home playing the Chargers, I think, if I'm not wrong. But
correct.
Again, a decent defense. Meanwhile, team like the Scoregasms has Christian McCaffrey going against the Houston Texans. He also has the Dallas Cowboys, which you said a lot of eggs in the basket, playing against Philly. And it's a coin flip here, and even the projection is a coin flip. I think it's like 0.4 off or something. Yep. So I'm going to take the home team. I'm going to take the Gayers.
All right, the Gayers are going there home. It's going to come down to Monday night. Obviously, not only the 3 Cowboys, but Jalen Hurts set to start for the Scoregasms on Monday night. I just think there's going to be too big of a mountain to climb on Monday. I think the Furies are going to put it away. I'm taking the Furies.
You know what'll be interesting also is you bringing up Jalen Hurts, which I probably think is the play there. It is interesting that Justin Fields has now become the starting quarterback of the Chicago Bears. Now, I don't think that team is maybe, but just future, as we go forward. Yeah. What a good turn of events for the Scoregasms.
Could be. Although Matt Nagy's saying if Andy Dalton's healthy, he's still the starting quarterback. So maybe the bad coaching in Chicago is rubbing off. It's hard to say. Game number 4 happens to be in Avalon. Merci beaucoup, bringing an 0-2 record, but the second or third highest points in the league. Into Avalon, who you like?
Well, watching what Mercy's done and the points he's putting up, running into a buzzsaw every week, his team is producing. I know that you have a couple matchups with your Buffalo guys going against a Washington defense. That's kind of tough. Dalvin Cook, what's his health, right? I don't know that we know. They got to go to Seattle. So based on matchups and based on the fact that Mercy is probably what we would call due, and to continue that pattern of picking the other team, I'm going to go ahead and take Mercy.
Merci beaucoup. I'm just going to go with karma here. I think not showing up to the draft matters. I think my guys, having not exactly exploded yet, I think we're due for a couple of big games. Yeah. I'm going to go for the first time all year with the Avalon Avengers.
All right. So you've picked both of our teams, which is the first time that's happened this year as far as...
It has. Going against the stream, salmon swimming upstream, if you will, brings us to what, some might call Fury Gary's the game of the week with 150-point projections on both sides. We're going to go with the incestible Young at Daddy as the game of the week this week. 2 0-2 teams. One team trying to avoid a potential fine. Who do you like in this one?
Well, I think that, I guess they'll probably be at RTOs watching the game together, which is kind of cool. If I'm just guessing, or maybe at Daddy's house. So either way, if you want to watch one of them whoop the other, or watch the Incest Bowl, that's probably where it'll be. But I think that there are some tough matchups for the young and confused this week. Stafford has to play Tampa Bay. His running back Montgomery is going to play the Cleveland Browns. Gronk actually has to play the Rams. So, I don't know. Daddy has, Justin, his quarterback's playing Kansas City. There should be some points there. DK Metcalf, I think, is due to get off. I think eventually somebody's got to cover Tyler Lockett. So I think maybe Minnesota makes some adjustments there, even though it is Patrick Peterson. I'm going to take Young and Confused.
I am leaning that way as well. I was just laughing as I said Young at Daddy, Andrew at Tom. Usually what happens when Andrew's between jobs and has to move in with his father. I'm going to stick again with that 138-point average. I'm taking the Young and Confused here as well.
Okay. Well, that does it as far as the picks of the week. And, hopefully we brought you guys all up on to date on what's going on in the LOG. It's been a good year so far. It's been a lot of fun. Here's your current board. We've got Better leading the way with the most points in the league, and the Pimps are second. But all the way down here, like we talked about, Mercy was still 308. So we'll see if he can move up the board against Avalon, or if Avalon can fend off the Mercy Beaucoup. But I'm looking forward to a lot of possible game of the weeks.
Hopefully some close matchup this week, gentlemen. Good luck. Get your lineups in, and we'll see you next week.
Have a good one.
Patrick Peterson lost to the Cardinals.